Welcome to my channel. It's Egwin here from Beyond Systems, and today finally we are talking about the daily movement nugget that has to do with conscious movement in the morning, what you can do to prime your body in a conscious way for healthy natural movement throughout the day. Now obviously every single one sleeps a little bit different, every single one has a harder or a softer mattress, so all of that would change the possibilities. And talking about possibilities, obviously literally there would be hundreds and hundreds of exercises one can do in the morning to wake up and to consciously interact with one's body. So I'm gonna give you some examples. That's what those movement nuggets are all about. They're not about giving the full 100% picture because that's simply impossible. They are really there to give you some ideas, some inspiration of what you can do, how you can use your body, in this case, in the morning, still lying in bed. Before we get started, just one thing, the sound this time might not be 100% on point because I do not wear my lavalier mic, for the simple reason that I'm gonna roll around a lot in my bed right now, and so that's why I'm using the external microphones that are not mounted on my body. I still hope the sound will be fine. Apart from that, let's just jump right into it and get started. Now, one of the things when we wake up in the morning, the first couple of seconds, they are probably slightly different for every single person. Some might lie on the side, some might lie on the back, some might lie on their belly. However you wake up, especially those first couple of seconds after waking up, maybe turning off the alarm clock, and then still giving yourself a couple of seconds in bed. And if you do not do that, I highly recommend you do start to do that. So don't immediately jump out of bed once you get that bing bong alarm clock sound or whatever wakes you up, and jump out and go about your day. Use the first couple of seconds, I'd say between 30 seconds and up to 5 minutes after your initial waking up, to actually simmer in that phase between your brain still being in a sleep state and slowly the nervous system picking up to a regular day mode. It's in that phase that you can prime yourself for the day. Whatever thoughts you allow in that phase, they will give the baseline for the rest of your day. This is also the time throughout the day where you have the most creativity that can actually help you to propel yourself from A to B in this baseline that you set for the day. All right. Apart from that, there are a couple of things that every single person pretty much does subconsciously when lying in bed in the morning or waking up. And that's some sort of stretching or extending limbs. This is what professionally we call pandiculation. It is also what you see animals do, cats do in the morning when they wake up, or dogs do in the morning, typical downward facing dog posture and stuff like that. So this is actually a scientifically described stretching method, and it's very important to actually do that. So really consciously give yourself that time, and I can't stress the consciously enough. Give yourself the time, really tune into how does your body feel when you are doing this, however this pandiculation might look like. For some people, it's simply this stretching the arms up and the legs down. For some people, like myself, I like to roll the body slightly to the side, one side and the other side, and really arch my back out, open my legs a tiny little bit, one arm goes down, one arm goes up, to really equalize tension in the body. So pandiculation is not so much about gaining range of motion as a stretch, quote unquote, Pandiculation is really about resetting the body's tension to a neutral throughout all different muscle groups. And that's what makes it such a healthy and natural practice. Every single person in the morning, there are some tension patterns that you carry from the night, no matter how expensive the mattress was, no matter how much you sleep for your sleep or body or breathing or sleep cycle type, whatever it is. So pandiculation is nature's way of resetting ourselves into action mode after sleeping. Not just after sleeping, but that's the prime time for it. So, like I said, whatever this is, whatever you do in the morning, if it's just stretching your arms out a tiny little bit, do this and do it consciously and observe how this tension runs through the body. Be conscious and use the sensomotoric feedback of your body to really feel, oh I'm moving a little bit deeper into the structure, and then you let go, you release again and enjoy that a lot. Generally speaking, I definitely suggest give yourself between waking up, whether it's with alarm clock or without, and then actually getting up, at least 2 to 5 minutes to actually tune into your body, tune into the day, and then get up and do something that needs to be done. But really plan this time in the morning. It's so incredibly important. Now let's run through a couple of possibilities once this initial completely intuitive stretching, quote unquote, is done. Then, for instance, when you lie in bed, if you lie on your back, if this is something that is comfortable for you, you can comfortably do, then give yourself a couple of seconds to really observe your breathing. Especially in the morning, your breathing is still very calm. So, especially in a lying on your back position, immediately your breathing will jump into a belly and lower chest breathing rather than a high chest breathing, which is a lot more relaxing. Like the lower belly breathing is a lot more relaxing. You'll also realize that compared to the rest of your day, your breathing will be a lot more deep, not so shallow breaths, a lot deeper. Do this just for a couple of breaths, 3, 4, maybe 5 breaths. And then move your legs a little bit. So bring one knee up. See, I'm pulling my leg out to the side. If you do not have that full range of motion in your hip joints, it doesn't matter. Then it looks something like this maybe. That's fine. Just use the full range of motion available to you in your hip joint to bring that leg up next to your body. Then use your arm to push it up. I'm going to show it to you on this side. So I'm going to bring my leg up here. As soon as it touches my hand, I'm lifting my leg up to my body, wrapping my second arm around it as well, and gently, really gently, pull the knee a little bit towards my chest. Then hold it there in a way so that there is no pain in the hip joint, no impinging, no pinching pain, no nothing. Just hold it there for a moment and keep breathing, another 1 or 2 deep breaths. Then bring the leg back down and push it down with your arm. Shake it out a little bit, wiggle, roll it out a little bit, and then do it on the other side. Bring it up, bring it into the body, brace the knee, and gently just let the weight of the arms pull the knee a little bit closer. You can also play with different angles here. Either pull the leg in directly straight into the body, or keep it hanging slightly out to the side and pulling it in from the side like this. All of those versions, they are fine. And again, hold it there for a couple of seconds for 1, 2, 3 tops breaths, and then bring it back down, push it all the way back down until both legs rest again. Now, I always suggest do roll to the side. Now, there are many different ways to roll from one side to the other. You can just lift your arm and roll over. I have different videos about rolling and rolling to the sides. I'm not gonna go into that in depth. Just come to the other side and actually switch to your belly. Now, depending on the status of your lumbar spine, if lying on your belly is painful for your lumbar spine because it drops too far into a lordosis, then you can use some sort of cushion underneath your belly just to alleviate a little bit of that tension in the spine. But if your spine is fine, then I suggest just really lie down on your back like this. And then play with your legs a little bit. Actively pull the knee up to your elbow as far as possible. Stretch it back down again. Turn the head to the other side and then do it on that other side as well. Pull the leg up as high as it can go and again stretch it back down again. Pull it up and push it back down again. Pull it up on the other side, push it back down again. You can even go into an extension in your knee if you have the range of motion for it. There are different ways to adjust for that. So one possibility, if you have this opening in the hip joint, bring the hip joint up and try to extend the leg sideways like this. If this is not an option, there are two possibilities to deal with this. One is slightly open your body to the side like this so that your hip is actually rolled up higher. Hold your knee in and then extend it out. Try to roll the ankle down and then come all the way back in and switch side. Or the other possibility is to use the edge of the bed. So rolling out to the edge of the bed totally, bringing the knee out and letting the leg drop down towards the ground. Now obviously in this case, you would want to change direction in your bed, drop the leg out, extend it, and bring it back in order to actually make that happen. So you can play with different angles, but moving your hip joints in the morning in a state where they do not yet bear the full weight of your body for walking around, that's incredibly powerful because it helps you to improve blood circulation in your hips, which is incredibly important also to get your whole circulatory system going and priming it for the day. Especially because when we do this, right now, in the morning, muscles are still relaxed, but you already introduce movement in the muscles, but they are still in this more relaxed state rather than already tensing up, which is priming them to keep in that state while moving. Something you can rarely duplicate throughout the day once pressure is already in the hip joint through moving around. All right, another thing that I absolutely love doing in the morning is bringing both knees up. You can even brace them left and right like this, and just simply rolling the lower body to the left. Bring the knees back up, rolling it down to the right side. See, I even add a small circle with my knees, pulling my knees in. See, my hip, my tailbone slightly lifts off the ground, and now I drop it back down again. So I engage my core muscles to do this rolling action with my legs, coming up and down, coming up, and then again extending both legs out. As for the arms, can bring the arms up here, bring one leg down into the mat and push your hip to the side. So you have this slight opening in the shoulder. Basically the idea, and then you switch side. Left leg goes straight, right leg goes down into the mat, and you gently push down. Open the hip to the left, but let the arms lie down on the ground still, on the mattress still, and then come back in. So see, the basic idea is that you move through ranges of motion that you hardly use throughout the day, as long as you're still supported by your bed, by your mattress. This really helps you to get this whole body into a moving state, and you do it as consciously as possible. There are literally, like I said, hundreds of possibilities of variations. If you have the range of motion in the hip joints and in the knees, it's always a good thing to go into a child's pose in the morning as well, like this. Extending the arms out, having both legs left and right. Bring the arms back in, swaying a little bit from left to right, and so on and so on. One very important thing for your spine and for getting up, see to it that you actually roll out of bed rather than do a sit-up in bed. Now I did a couple of half sit-up thingies now to every so often get back up and talk to the camera. But see, rather than doing this in the morning and sitting up in bed like this, which immediately puts a lot of pressure on the intervertebral discs in the lumbar spine, once you've done your movement practices, your rolling actions with an elongated spine still, your hip mobility exercises, maybe stretching the arm to one side, stretching the arm to the other side, then roll out to the side, drop the legs out of bed and sit up like this until you are on the edge of your bed. Now, still sitting on the edge of your bed, do a couple of anterior and posterior pelvic tilts. An anterior pelvic tilt means if your pelvic ring was a bowl of water, you're pouring out water towards the front. Posterior pelvic tilt would be you pouring out water towards the rear. You can also circle just a tiny little bit while still sitting on the edge of your bed. And then see my legs, and with the legs go into sort of a forward walking position with them. So rather than having the legs parallel to the edge of the bed and then standing up like this, turn them slightly sideways and to the other side. So literally, little bit of hip movement here again, that's a possibility. Or you just stand up, and when you stand up, again, go into this slight forward walking position that's slightly at an angle to the bed, and simply roll off and walk out sideways. Because now, see, you sort of pull the center of gravity over your legs and start moving without compressing the neck when trying to stand up like this. So that's another very, very important thing to do. As soon as you are in a standing position here, then one thing that you can do is simply play a little bit with your shoulders, roll your shoulders open and closed, just a tiny little bit, and start to move your legs a little bit on the way, say, to the bathroom. Consciously play with rolling your feet, with moving your ankles and your knees and your hip joint a little more than would be necessary. One thing that I always suggest not to do immediately in the morning is massive forward fold stretches. Whether that's still lying in bed, forward fold stretches, or also then in standing position, where you really just try to grab your toes, maybe bounce a little bit. I always suggest not to do this immediately in the morning. Why? Reason for that being, when you lie in bed and then you get up, or just this first couple of seconds, then your intervertebral discs, ideally, they are still very, very thick and full from the night. But the second you move your spine in full ranges of motion in terms of flexion and extension, mainly it's the flexion that poses a problem, you start to immediately put a lot of pressure back on the intervertebral discs. And the reason why we are stiff in the morning is actually because the discs are full of liquid, which is a good thing. But because of that, ranges of motion in the spine are slightly limited, because the thick discs, they actually press the vertebrae away from each other and stretch all the ligaments around the spine, protecting the spine. So that's actually this internal pressure holding you up more so than at the end of the day, which is the reason for you not being able to move your spine in all its full capacity of mobility right away in the morning. And I suggest to give yourself at least half an hour or an hour in the morning before you actually start with massive flexion exercises in the spine, so that you can use these full intervertebral discs a little longer, and that you can enjoy this released pressure off the spinal nerves a little bit longer. All right, so all of that together, obviously this can lead into another gentle movement practice afterwards in, say, the bathroom, which is where I always go into a little bit more intensive stretches for my legs and stuff like that. But yeah, we can do a separate video about that. Like I said, this video is less of an instructional one, more one that gives ideas of what are the things that you can do in bed in the morning. Another thing that I really love doing is, say, after brushing my teeth, if I still have time, going back to bed, sitting back in bed. If you can sit freely like this, awesome. If you cannot, then just go all the way back. Use the backrest, if there is one, or the wall behind your bed, or just sit on a cushion, like this, so that it's a little bit more comfortable for you to sit like this. Just sit there. Be one more time very aware of your hip, of your legs, and of your abdominal breathing. And just give yourself, I'd say, a minute, maybe 2 minutes. Doesn't have to be any more than that, where your awareness is really down here in connection with your body. Now, why is that an important element? This is an incredibly powerful tool to do, especially in the morning, priming your sensomotoric feedback awareness. So you being more presently aware and conscious about the sensations in your body will help you throughout the day to stay also psychologically more connected with yourself, less disconnected, which also translates to being more in control of things like stress, fear, anxiety, depression, and so on, because you are connected with your baseline, connected in terms of your awareness is also with your body and not just with a problem on the outside, not just with a stressful situation. So you are more identified with what's actually truly you and yours. All right, all of that being said, if there are any questions, please leave them in the comment box down below. The next tools in that direction will come shortly, where I'll be talking about probably the bathroom thing, as right now I don't have a car available. I know there was a request for movement exercises and posture exercises, or also just a healthy posture while driving and sitting in a car, and I'll definitely get around to that. Yeah, other than that, have a beautiful time. If you like the video and think someone else could use that information, then please share it and like, and also subscribe and hit that notification bell. It does help me a lot. And yeah, just to sum it up, move in the morning, move through comfortable ranges of motion that make you feel awake, that are not painful, and that support flow, and be as conscious about it as possible. That is key to whatever exercise you are doing. You can do stretching poses, yoga poses, whatever it might be. Like I said, hundreds of possibilities. These are just a couple of ideas that I wanted to share with you. Good. Have a beautiful time. Thank you for watching, and see you around next time. Bye.